So in drafting our overbust corset, I'll be drafting out the basic bodice first. So this is my bust point. Then I'll go ahead and measure the under bust, okay, and the waistline, then the corset length or the top length, okay, because this one goes beyond the normal waist and it rests on the hip or above the hip, okay. So this is the bust point, the under bust, the waistline, and the corset length. So after that, to go on to measure out the neckline, the shoulder, I'll come down by 1 inch from the shoulder in order to create the shoulder slope. So I'm doing this in case you'll be fixing a yoke on the corset, but for the sake of this tutorial, it's just the normal tube corset, no yoke, okay. So let's go ahead. Please just follow me carefully, watch the video carefully. It's beginner friendly, okay. So now I'm creating out the armhole, okay. Then I'll find the midpoint of this armhole in order to create the armhole curve for the front. As you know, this is the front pattern, so we'll create this out just like so. So this is the armhole curve for the front. Then the neck, which is 3 by 3 inches, the neck width and the neck depth 3 by 3 inches. So now I want to extend the upper chest line to the center front, okay. So after this, you need to decide how deep you want the corset neckline to be. So if you like, you can take your under bust, whatever measurement you have under bust, you can take it up, or you just measure from your neck directly, okay. So I'll be using 7 inches. You can use 7 or 7.5 inches for a moderate without exposing cleavage like that. So this is 7 inches that I marked first. So I went ahead to remove ½ inch. So that means it will be 7.5 inches for the corset neck depth, okay. So I'm using 7.5 inches. So that's bust point, under bust, waistline, and the corset length or the hem length. So I'll go ahead and fix in my dart, which is 4. That's bust this nipple to nipple distance. 8 inches divided by 2 is 4. So that is it. I'll mark this 4 inches all through from the hem line up to the corset neckline, as you can see. Then I'll connect them with a straight line. Please pay attention to the dart creation, okay. So I went ahead to add 1 inch to my corset length for hemming. So that 1 inch is for hemming. So now on the waistline, I'm going to be marking 1.25 inches on both sides of the straight line down to up to the under bust. That's 1¼ inch. You can use 1 inch, you can use 1½ inch, but I'll be going with 1¼ inch, and down to the corset hem 1¼ inch, and I'll connect it this way. So at times it depends on the size of the bust that determines your dart allowance. Then I'll use my curved ruler to create this curve from the under bust to the bust point. The way it is from the under bust to the bust point, you use a curve. Then on the corset neckline, we need to tighten the place. So I'll be marking 1 inch on both sides for the bust tightening, so that it can be firm at that point. So, and I prefer to have equal measurement on both sides, just like so, 1 inch on each side. Now let's fix in our measurement. So I'll be marking it directly on the bust point. So my bust round divided by 4, so I'll be marking 9 1/4. So but if I were to use the chest line, see the way it is, see where the 9 1/4 will fall. You can see it's more than the actual. So and all we want for this particular corset is fittings. So that's why we'll be going with the measurements on the bust point, because already we have enough room for the bust. Now on the waistline, I will measure from the center front down to the beginning of the dart. You can see, and I'll mark whatever I have, then continue from there after the dart. Okay, so doing this, we wouldn't need to fix in any dart allowance. Okay, so now we'll connect this mark point. Then on the M line, I'm fixing my hip round also. I use the same measurement, the same method to fix in my hip measurement on the M line. Then you connect it this way. Okay, so in case you want your this, because of the boning technique, so in case you want a slanted line, you don't want the boning in front to just come down straight, so there's a way you can create a slanted line from this method. So we'll cover the dart up just like so. We covered it up this way so that we'll be able to create the slanted line from under the bust. So from the center front at the M line, from the center front, you can go in by 2 inches or 1.5 inches. So but for this tutorial, I went in by 1.5 inches. Then you connect it to under the bust. That's the way I'm marking. But in case you are okay with your boning coming down straight, no problem. But this one is just to have another style to it, so it will come down slantly. So from this slanted line also, you measure about 2 inches or 2.5 inches on the other side and connect it up. This is to create the snatching or the snitching effect. So we are removing another dart here. We are removing it directly from from the material without adding that allowance. So this is to help us achieve enough snatching of the waist. So if you follow this method, you will enjoy the outcome, because even with these fittings, you will be able to breathe inside your corset. It is not too much. This type is not barbaric. Okay, so I'll measure 1/2 inch on both sides of this dart on the waistline and connect it this way. You can see. So that means we have 2 darts. The first bigger dart, it was not direct, as there was allowance, but this one is we are just removing it from the major work. Now you determine how deep you want your neckline to come again. So in creating the sweetheart neck here, so I just measured about 1 inch from the bust point down. Then I'll create this cuff. So make sure you shape it properly. But if you want your corset to just be straight, no problem. But in case you want to use a neckline, you go with this method. Your sweetheart neckline. So I added 1 inch for my seam allowance. You can add 1/2, but just choose to go with 1 inch seam allowance. So now we are working on the back. So this is the chest line, the bust point, the waistline, and the corset length. We don't need under bust at the back. So we'll create the neckline. This is in case you'll be using a yoke on this corset. So I create the neckline, the shoulder slope. Since I already drew out the chest line, so I just connect it for the armhole. Then you create the cuff. So now from the center back, we need to remove some allowance out in order for our so on the waistline I remove 1.5 inch, then on the chest line I remove 2 inches. It depends on how open you want your panel to be. So now so before I cut it out, let me fix in my body measurement. So I fix in my waist round, which is 7.5. Plus 1 inch for that. So we add that allowance for the back here, but only 1 inch for the that allowance. So this is my body measurement that I'm connecting right here. So I can now go back and work on the lacing now, the lacing panel. So I need to remove this. Then whatever I have left on the waistline, I'll divide it into 3, because we are removing that twice at the back also. So I divide it. So I think it's about 2.25. Then I'll connect it straight this way. Okay, so now I'll connect it from the hem down to the chest line. So on each line, I'll mark 1/2 inch on both sides, just like so, in order to create the dot. So this first one is for the allowance that I marked out, but this second one there was no allowance for it, so it's to help with the snatching also, the snatching of the waist. So you mark 0.5 inch or so on each side and connect it this way. So this is it. So I think already it's looking like a corset. So at the center back, from the chest line, you come down about 1 inch or 1/2 inch and connect it to the armhole. You know, for the front we created something like this, but for the back there's no need. Just connect it straight from the armhole this way. So with this method, it's not too down, yes, at the back, but at the same time it depends on how deep you want your neckline to be. And remember, this labeling is important. Please label each pattern and indicate which side is up and which side is down. Even when you cut out the fabric, make sure you indicate. This will help you while joining your fabric together. You can see they almost look alike, so you can mistake up for down or 2 for 1. So please, it's important to label it. So now wait on to create the neckline for the back, 1.5 inch by 3 inches. So, and like I said, it's for the yoke. So now let's go ahead and, so this is the front again, and label the front also. This front 1, front 2, front 3. Remember, I said this labeling is important if you don't want to mix things up. Okay, so if you actually want the slanted line for the boning casing. So I had to secure it with a sellotape so that I can achieve the purpose of that slanted line, so that when I cut it out, it will give me the shape I'm looking for. So make sure it's properly laid. So after cutting, this is what it looks like. Then you cut it out carefully. So that's the yoke. If you are going to be using the yoke, you keep that also. So this is each pieces: front 1, front 2, front 3. This is it. Then we'll go ahead and to add the 1-inch seam allowance to the back also. So we know that when cutting the fabric is only the joining allowance that we're going to add. Then I'll also go ahead and cut this out. So you know this first part is off. It's for the lacing. Okay, so I hope you guys find this video helpful. Please feel free to share your opinion or ask me any question in the comment section. Okay, so the next video will be about the sewing of this overbust corset. So but try and follow this method. It works and it's simple. Okay, so please remember to like this video and also subscribe to my channel. Bye.